KT roster.
First ban's going to be the cannon. You do not want to let Smeb have that. Even though top lane has been favoring tanks, the carries are still played very effectively. You even see sometimes some people go up to a first pick Fiora or a blind pick Fiora. And when you're dealing with a guy like Smeb, who's such a powerful carry, you always have to respect it. And speaking of respect, the Zac ban, it was all throughout the last series, and we're likely not going to see it again in this one.
Question is, will they also ban out Galio? That was another perma-ban from the two teams in our first series. Syndra also seeing a lot of bans. And they're actually going to take away both Lulu and Karma on the side of KT. They don't want to give over either of those very supports. And it looks like a first pick Elise here for Longju.
And the Galio is tempting, but Fiora is still up. She does very well into any tank, especially as the game progresses. You can play that split push style. And when you're dealing with a tank and you're incapable of finding a fight, a split pusher just can completely pop off. The first pick on Elise, really making sure that Cuz can have a really effective, easy time to set up for his team. And I'm really excited to see what Longju can bring to the table. I think the expectations are undefined because these guys are rookies, and lots of fans here showing up for this matchup.
Specifically for Smeb, they're very happy about Smeb. They want to show as much support for him as possible. 3 signs in a row. And looking over at KT's picks, they're going with the Graves and the Varus, who has seen a lot of play so far in summer.
And what we can expect from KT besides this is a composition just packed with damage and no tank play from them. Even though Galio is up and Smeb might be fancying it, they do really like to play with that carry style and make sure that they play with pressure as opposed to making sure that their team composition revolves around their engage. And KT was vocal in that interview, at least Score was, that they plan on crushing you in the early game this time around in the laning phase, so expect fireworks from this matchup or very early on.
Zyra making her return along with Ashe. So definitely a very engage-heavy composition down in bot. Pair that with Elise, you definitely have a lot of pressure down there. What will KT respond with? With some Huiting signs. A couple of Chinese fans coming down here to the studio. Thanks for joining us.
I think they understand.
Understand the great commentary?
English, maybe, hopefully.
Well, they don't have the headsets in, so my hopes of communicating with them are totally lost. Crumbs.
Well, the blind Talia gets locked in, and she's a very powerful pick when you come to assisting side lanes. Especially, we see her be used always towards the bottom lane, but in the mid to late game, she can help out split pushers a whole lot. She's either great with them or also great against them. And so now Khan is going to be in a bit of a pickle because most likely that's going to be that last pick saved for Smeb. A counter pick on likely the best top laner in the world is a very deadly combination.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the first ban here of the Jace. We saw that go top lane in the first game between MVP and Jin-Air, but it might just be taking away some mid laners specifically to make Mon's job in the mid lane a little bit easier. Also banning out the Zed, so definitely targeting those mid lanes. What will be the 5th and final ban for Longju?
You gotta give respect to BDD at this point. Zed is such a powerful pick, and when you're dealing with squishies, and now he steals AD, and when you're dealing with champions like a Graves or a Varus, he can really actually hinder your ability to deal damage back. So Zed ban, I like it. You know, it's a new patch. You don't really know what they've been practicing. You gotta make sure you're prepared for it. And if Fiora ban comes out right away, are they gonna prioritize Galio now that the kind of the biggest pick against it has fallen off the table? Perhaps, but it's just not KT's style. And, well, you can't deny the strength of such a powerful pick.
See if they actually lock it in. Only 7 seconds left. That's a couple of depth whiting signs. Okay, they're going to switch it over to the Misfortune, so they're not 100% sure. Could also be some mind games saying, hey, we're thinking about the Galio.
Well, they still want to make sure that they save that counter pick. Even though the Galio would be a powerful pick, it doesn't make too much sense to save counter pick for the final rotation. So making sure that Smeb still has that pick. And I'm curious to see what happens if Longju decide to go for the Galio. There are other picks that might be a little bit more obscure into this, but we just don't know that Smeb might be practicing. But like Jarvan will get locked in, and that's going to be a blind Jarvan top. And what does he have into this?
Well, the immediate hover on Gnar. By the way, the Orianna was also picked, so we will have Orianna for BDD.
A hover doesn't mean anything, just like a hover hand.
Means nothing, just that you're hesitating, that you're too scared to actually make the pick. Okay, Gragas. So neither of these teams picking up Galio. It seemed like Smeb did not want to play Galio into Jarvan.
Oh well, the Galio here would not have a very easy time getting into the backline because you really want him to go in with his ultimate, boost somebody's resistances, and without a tank to really go in, it might just not be KT's style to go with a pick like that, especially if they have a jungler like Graves that wants to keep a distance and a support like Misfortune that definitely wants to stay really far back.
Yeah, it seemed like just a little bit of mind games with the hover on the Galio. So that time it actually did mean something, Crumbs, but yeah, they haven't.
You need to say that, sure.
Yeah, and they do have a decent amount of pick themselves. The Tainted Corruption, some really good engage from the Gragas top, but outside of that,
it's a lot of pick from Longzhu this time around. Just the ability to find anybody and just delete them so quickly. The CC train is literally never ending here. You got Knockup, Cocoon, Shockwave, Zyra, RS, or Ash.
Let's just hope they don't pull an MVP and use every single one of their CC on Gragas. Please.
I have a little bit more faith here in Longzhu this time around. I'm really excited to see what this guy's got to do. I mean, 2 rookies coming out, and they haven't really been targeted out. So they have a very tall order facing against KT that did make it to the finals last spring split. They are set to be one of the top contenders, expected to come out ahead of this summer split once again, and most likely will be going to Worlds. So a tall order, if they can put up a good showing here, will definitely show signs of life for Longzhu early on.
Yep, definitely so. There you have it. There are the lineups, and we're going to be jumping into game number 1 of Longzhu versus KT Rolster right now.
Looks and the 5-man approach from KT into the bottom lane. Perhaps they're feeling a little adventurous with what Gragas has to offer early in the game. Body slam.
Yeah, they're looking for new experiences in the bot lane. Gragas never quite felt something like this before. See if he gets some.
I'm sure due to his alcoholism, he's felt lots of things. I think he might have
he saw that, but okay, the slow's going to come down. Can they actually land anything? It doesn't look like it.
He does get a lot of stacks off that Spell Thieves, and Longzhu will respond with warding the red side jungle. So in the end, I'd say victory of this little exchange goes to Longzhu. They get advantage of vision, and they will be able to scout out where Score's route starts and predict where it ends.
Khan hanging around here. He looks like he's just waiting to put down the ward. It's only 60 seconds on that trinket, so you want to make sure you have as much time as possible to see as much as possible. Looks like it will be a red side start here for Score. Will it be straight to the red, or will they do the Raptors? Raptors is more common. It looks like he is going to head that way now.
Yeah, the Raptor start is a little bit safer. When you get scouted out, they have to at least acknowledge the possibility of the red buff being warded. And if you were to do red buff, then it gives a bit of a tell, because oftentimes we'll see Graves go for a red into an invade right away, and an Elise that is not level 3 and doesn't secure a blue buff can struggle quite a bit in the early stages of the game.
Score chilling on that ward. They see exactly what's going on, and I love that they hand over this Ash Zyra to the veteran bot lane of Prey Gorilla. They're really relying on these guys to make the picks, to get the kills down into the bot lane. Even though Mata does get the Misfortune into the Zyra, it's still, you know, it offers Prey and Gorilla an opportunity to carry their team from the bot lane. And we'll see if they can actually do it. They're going up against a very mechanically skilled Deft and Mono lane, of course.
And Prey definitely can carry on Ashe. He's one of those first guys that has been popularizing the pick for so many years. Even before she got slightly changed in the way that she worked, he was always playing that Ashe and making so much use out of the Hawkshot, and expect him to really utilize that to keep tabs on Score, one of the best junglers in the league. And if he can get influenced by the vision that Prey can provide, then perhaps his pathing gets nullified, but he's already making some moves early on and will be counter-jungling and in a great position to go for a gank from behind Longzhu.
Yeah, and by the way, it doesn't seem like they have any idea, because there were a couple of pings up in the red side jungle of KT. Back pings probably by Cuz saying, hey, Graves is probably on his red side right now, but he's actually just counter-jungling him towards bot, and Gorilla is incredibly low.
Once this wave hits, but there is a ward to scout out things a little bit earlier from Longzhu in the back of them, but Kate Score still waiting around in the wings, and here we go.
There he is. Slightly late reaction. He does have that red buff. Trying to just get as many summoners out as possible. They will get the heal. That's about it.
It's a cute trade, not too much time wasted. Got the counter jungler so that he got the objective that he wanted and was able to help out the bottom lane. That's the kind of gank that you want to have. And now they're going to try to dive top, but Smeb is quite difficult to gank with that body slam. Whoa!
And there's no minions here. Cuz is going to eat it. Will be forced to repel.
Whoa!
And it looks like they might get out alive. Smeb is not going to chase, but definitely not the cleanest top lane dive gank from an Elise I've ever seen, Crumbs.
That is not an easy champion to dive, especially if you pull it off like that. And Smeb can be happy about that one because at least wasted her time. And for only a flash burn on the champion that's as tanky as Gragas, sounds worth it to me.
Doesn't seem shaken at all. Seems totally fine.
Stoic about it. Not even close. He knew it wasn't going to happen. He's like Faker. He sees 5 seconds into the future, knows his death is not there.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to see that. I mean, it's Smeb up against a couple of rookies, and you know, all eyes on them. Maybe a couple of nerves coming out from the top and jungle from the side of Longju. BDD, no sparks from him in the mid lane just yet. Can't really expect too much this early on from Orianna Talia, but here comes Cuz.
Not feeling it. He's got Talia has cleanse, so it's a bit of a tough gank to go for without Orianna being level 6. So he can definitely play really aggressive right now until that shockwave comes online. And at that point, then he has to be a little bit more respectful of the Elise game.
Elise is still hanging around, but really what she was able to do is get a couple of deep wards towards the blue side of KT. We'll actually spot out Mata hanging around there.
Those are great wards to have, right? You know, Gray splits the map topside, you go to your own side, you start getting the vision that you can, and you always prefer deep vision. Deep is always the way to go here with your vision, and he does so accordingly with that trackers, or that jungle upgrade. And so with the boots, the mobility that he has allows him to kind of run rampant around the jungle while Score is going with more damage with that upfront longsword.
We're taking a small look up in top lane. We do see that the Jarvan is ahead in the CS just by a little bit, about 6 or 7 CS.
He has to be respectful of his flash being down, of Elise going for a return gank, of being pushed in. Jarvan does offer quite a bit of pushing power with his Q, and the damage that he deals with his passive is pretty hurtful towards tanks that are as beefy as Gragas.
He's attempting to trade here, but with the build that he chooses, he doesn't have too much mana sustain. Obviously, just the corrupting pot. Score hanging around bottom. Doesn't look like they're too close, but Pawn, he wants to lay down the Weaver's Wall if possible.
There are pings onto the red side, so they know that Elise is around and they're going to retreat. Not worthwhile the effort. And if you take a look at the vision in the map, everything is in the red side for KT. The river is littered. The entrances to the red side jungle are guarding the blast cone, guarding Elise and possibly repelling in. Immediate ping goes onto Elise the second she leaves the jungle, and so Pawn reacts accordingly and will not die or take any harass from BDD.
Seems like they really wanted to set something up there, but nothing really happening. Taking a small look into the bot lane, looks like actually Deft and Mata are ahead once they clean up this wave. Deft should be about 7-8 CS ahead. He already has that BF sword.
Yeah, it's a great item early on, and we might see that Essence Reaver coming through that's been very popular in the previous game. But the Hawk Shot does end up seeing Score, as we saw while he was clearing that Raptor camp. So they are aware that the jungler is in the top side, and so Longju can play aggressive. You see them here being much further up, and even though they don't have any vision, that Hawk Shot means that they know that they have at least a couple of minutes before they were to be in any danger of being ganked by Score.
Cuz pretty close by, but the bot lane so far is not level 6 just yet. Looks like he will recall. So he has farmed up to 38 CS and should have a nice chunk of gold to buy something on his way back.
He buys the Etherwisp, gets some little movement speed, comboing with the boots. I love that purchase. Instead of going for the crazy Mobies that we see some Elises go for, which is putting all your eggs in the early game basket, he makes sure that he's a little bit evenly dispersed to make sure that he can not only provide vision for this team, but be in a good position to go for ganks and move around the map effectively while farming well because of the extra ability power.
So we're expecting some fireworks to go off sometime soon.
Always bot or mid here.
Yeah.
Not really thinking anything's going to happen topside. There's already a glacial shroud coming out of Sneb and the flash into the arrow. Oh, wait a minute.
The flash on in, and that is a huge play by Gorilla. The exhaust comes down, double teleport. Is it enough damage to take it out? It is. First blood goes over to Prey. There's a counter engage, though. Gorilla and Khan in a bit of trouble, but Cuz makes his way down. Gonna trade 1-for-1 for now. Some fighting actually between the mid lane players. It looks like Khan will actually pick up Mata on the backside of that. The Cocoon just barely misses Smeb. He's gonna flash on in for Smeb. There's the double kill for Khan. What a play. They're able to go 3-for-1 here as Longju on top of KT.
Great TP there from Khan, but most of all, that engage from Longju was really cool to see. The arrow gets flashed, but Deft still in range of the flash root from Gorilla, and the follow-up is immediate. The Strangled Thorns, the Grasping Roots, the combo is just so powerful to deal with, and when you're dealing with so many plants that are also empowered in their attack speed, and they're hammering away at a measly level 6 Varus, he just doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that replay, actually, because there was a bunch of stuff going on. Like, we had BDD and Pawn fighting in the river, and there was a fight. It looks like Mata got a little bit too out of position. Let's take a look at that right now.
The arrow gets flashed, but just a perfect position here that can hit a two-man root. Mata does sidestep it, however, but the exhaust from both sides makes sure that the fight lasts long enough for the teleports to come through, and immediately Jarvan just so darn strong right now. Nobody able to focus him because Elise is coming through. And in the river, Talia and Orianna messing with each other, making sure that nobody gets to the bottom lane on time. But Orianna does lose that trade, so we have to keep tabs on her because she no longer has summoners. And that would mean that a gank in the mid lane can be very rewarding.
Good presence by BDD to actually follow up for the kill onto Smeb towards the end of that. She actually helped out with the shockwave to lay down that last bit of damage and help Khan pick up the double kill. So
great communication. Like, give me the ball, I'm flashing in, I'm using shockwave, whatever they might have said. It looked wonderful. And for rookies, that's some great synergy right there coming out of Longju, a team that struggled last split, but this time around maybe reinvigorated with new blood. When you mix it with old talent that is as resilient as Prey and Gorilla, you get yourself a lineup that is always powerful. It's such a great combination to have in pretty much any sport, in any endeavor. You got young and old, and the young inspires the old gets invigorated, and the old gets invigorated. I don't even know what to say. I had it, man. It was so good.
It was right there.
Dang it.
You gave yourself the alley-oop, and then you tripped on a plant, but it's okay. The old provides the wisdom for the young, I suppose.
Yeah. Well.
And I mean, that's what I was saying, you know, in the bot lane there. It's okay, hold that thought.
So much damage.
Okay, he's not going to go in, though. Score incredibly low. Lots of burst damage, actually. Cuz not going to take the chance. And Khan, he's very far ahead. He's going to make that opportunity up in the top lane for himself. Gets a solo kill on the back of that.
And even though Khan is significantly far ahead, this is a matchup that does benefit the Jarvan. He's capable. He had pressure the entire time. That's why the gank was able to happen in the level 3. And even though it wasn't successful and actually ended up going the way of KT, the pressure still benefited Longju. And now he's a 3-0 Jarvan, just poised to take over this game.
It's really cool to see. I mean, we saw the dive up in top in the beginning of the game out of Cuz and Khan, and we were like, oh boy, that's not looking good. And meanwhile, Pawn, he runs right in. He does have the cleanse, and he's looking to actually continue this trade.
Great sidestepping from Cuz.
Yeah, that's not going to work out, though. Pawn will eventually get some help from Mata, who does clean up the kill. Getting, you know, some happy feet there, some fancy moves, but didn't work out.
Yeah, as soon as he put himself in that position in the river, he knew that there was no way out, so he had to stick to fighting. The Graves collapsing, Misfortune just so fast and moving from bottom to mid lane that becomes really obnoxious when that Make It Rain hits you, especially in Elise that is at such a low magic resist level when your runes are also including more ability power in your glyphs, and she's just really susceptible to dying to magic damage.
Very true, and we're taking a look at the bot lane once again. As I was saying before, these guys, Prey and Gorilla, there was some pressure on them to make a play early on, and they did make that play. They won the 2v2 before all the teleports came in, and eventually Longju did win the fight. Here we go. Khan is going to be ganked in a big way. He does get the knock-up onto Smeb. There's the flash. Scores coming in, and there's the Weaver's Wall. Pawn actually jumps off a bit early. It's not going to matter as they do pick up the kill. Now, Cuz on the chase, Pawn will use the blasting plant, and BDD, even though he burns Ghost to try to get up there, won't join the fight in time.
Yeah, a little bit of overconfidence from Khan there, extending without any vision onto the Graves. He will pay with his life, however, but it looks like KT, oh, they're pushing for a tower. This could be first brick. Doesn't have enough time to teleport. Orianna and Elise are collapsing on the replay here. This is going to be that solo kill.
Yeah, well, you can dodge that. Really nice reaction time by Khan. That's part of the reason why Jarvan is pretty good against Gragas. I'm beginning to see it.
Finally believing. Well, I think we do need a bigger sample size for this one, but he is effective. And speaking of, whoa, that's a QSS first item completion from Prey there in the bottom lane, so making sure that he doesn't get hit by Chains of Corruption early on. And this build, while we haven't really seen this happen too much, the Ashe build that Prey has been going in solo queue is rushing that Blade of the Rune King straight into Hurricane, into Infinity Edge. So lots of DPS early on. Even though the Hurricane does not proc the on-hit effect, Blade is just at such a powerful state. It hasn't been nerfed yet, even though the changes are tentative and likely will go through. It's still a very powerful item.
Yeah, which is why it was funny to watch in our first series. Both AD carries just going Essence Reaver first over and over and over again. But Prey wants to take a different route, even mixing in the Tabi as well as the QSS, playing a very defensive build so far.
Well, as Ashe, you're always in such a position where people just want to dogpile you, and when you're dealing with Graves and Varus, the damage reduction from all their auto attacks really adds up. And then let's see 1v1 more people. Lots of damage onto Ashe.
They're looking to turn it on Tamada, though, who does go down. Cuz with the ball there. Nice play by BDD to be in position. Khan makes his way down with the teleport. That will be one kill going over to Longju as they look to turn that into a Cloud Drake as well.
And a great pick on Tamada, just overstepping, not recognizing the vision there over the wall, but oh, I like this play from Khan. Looking for Pawn. He does have flash, but Jarvan doesn't care. He's got his Cataclysm. He's going to have to flash over the wall.
Nice reaction there. It seemed like he knew it was coming, but still had to burn that flash. Prey getting frisky.
Defending that control ward with his life, and that's
my bush.
Oh, look at that. Smeb is going to be able to take down first brick for himself, and even though he was struggling in lane, none of it matters anymore.
Ooh, missed Shockwave meanwhile. Well, BDD was looking good up until that. I'm sure he's unhappy the Observer caught that at the last second.
Nobody gets happy when the Observer sees all your mistakes. You always assume that the Observer is always on you. There is a TP from Smeb and not one on Khan, though, so this could be very dangerous for Longju if they decide to pull the trigger. However, they don't have minion pressure just yet, and Talia has to defend middle. So I like what Longju's doing here. They, instead of reacting to the play bottom, they're looking to make their own play happen in the mid lane with Orianna and
No
Jarvan.
more flash. Here comes Khan. Can he get in range? No, is the answer. So Khan looking to make that play, as you were saying, but it doesn't pay off.
But the pressure is still there nonetheless. Longju is still in control of the mid lane, and that's what you want to see right now. Mid lane is the most influential lane in the map. They can collapse everywhere else, and when you nullify Talia's ability to help the side lanes, she can't play as aggressive as she wants. Her play pattern no longer exists. You want to have her play almost like a TF kind of style, where she's always looking to roam, where she's always looking to weave around walls and make sure that she can influence the map as much as possible. When she's stuck in turret, worried if there's a Jarvan in her lane, she's not doing a whole lot for anybody.
Very true, and we've been seeing a lot of Pawn under turret, just chilling, trying to push, but not much else. Oh, he's gonna get hit by that Shockwave. Lots of burst. He's gonna go in. Oh! How much health did he live with? That must have been extremely low.
So lucky on that one.
The damage calculation, BDD was so close.
That's a tilter right there. You do the math in your head, you do the calculations, you triangulate the play.
You flash into a Graves and say, I can get this kill and get out alive. Well, he didn't get the kill, but he did get out alive at least.
I think if he got the kill, he would have even kept trying to fight Graves at that point. So strong with the Morello, Nomicon, and blue buff completed.
Definitely a nice spike for Orianna. Seen it in some of the other games so far.
In the meantime, KT will be looking to try to get control of the jungle to get some deep vision. However, they have to start pushing lanes first. And even though the laners can't do it on their own, they just need Score to group up with any laner, push out the wave, and then they can start getting vision. Because otherwise, their TP from Smeb is not going to do anything. He's going to remain in lane against Jarvan 24/7. And Gragas is the same thing every time. Let's take another look right here. Shockwave immediately. Thunderlord's proc.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
What else can you say? He almost had it. In the meantime, red buff being stolen away by Khan on his own. He gets spotted out.
Oh, bit of a knockup. Decides to take the path back. BDD's here once again. Going to trade some damage. There's the flash in from Smeb. They want this kill. The cast will do it, but Khan is trying to turn. That's all he can do. Big shockwave. Lots of damage coming out. And it looks like BDD will pick up a return kill and make that a 1-for-1 trade.
And that was a great presence of mind from Smeb to save the cast for after the flash. Goes for the flash body slam. Instinctively, Khan flashes away after that, thinking that perhaps the cast comes out, but he waits for it after. Chucks it right away and makes sure that the knockup comes through him. They trade 1-for-1, however, and Pawn not going to be too thrilled about going down there, but he's going to fall further behind, and now BDD is in a really good position this game. There's not a whole lot of engage against him. If he's capable of not getting hit by a Varus arrow and keeping his distance from Gragas, he'll be more than fine.
So we were wondering how these rookies were going to do when they come in, and so far Khan has been doing quite well. His escape patterns, he did about as well as he could have. He even tried to dodge the cast.
Oh, and that cast is just double the value because it also knocked back BDD, preventing him from dealing some DPS. But quickly a TP bottom lane. That's 2 TPs.
Yeah, TP coming down. It looks like actually Gragas will come in, but they do get the kill onto Deft. Now BDD is here in position. Big cast, Gorilla knocked on in, but Smeb will trade his life for it. That's a 2-for-1 in favor of Longju as BDD picks up another kill.
The reverse flag toss knocks up Smeb, and now Longju poised to go for a tier 1 bottom lane. That is a really big deal for them. They're starting to open up the map and answering back the turret that KT was able to get by Smeb just staying in lane as opposed to helping the team out with a teleport. And actually they choose not to. KT who just recalled bottom lane and choosing to just play it slow, getting the advantage that they wanted. There is a dragon in 40 seconds, so they likely are going for that.
Well, Gorilla gets caught here, and things don't look quite that good for Longju, but the TP comes in first from Khan, and that's when things turn around for KT. Frey very confidently stepping forward, trying to get that kill, and they pick it up, but then BDD gets there before Talia. She's not even in this fight, and they're able to trade that one.
And the double flag toss from Khan, just such a nice play to see. The cooldown reduction helping him out, doing that with that Dragon Strike, making sure that he can knock back Smeb. And that's not a play that you expect and see a lot of time. 2 knocks up with 1 flag.
Well, look at this. Arrow straight to the face, and Pawn is taking way too much damage. Will survive, though, as Gorilla actually oversteps his boundaries. Now it's prey against the world as the rest of his team tries to come on in here. Looks like also Khan from the north side. Mata and Deft might be in a bit of danger if Khan dives this. They will jump on to Deft, who has no flash. And that will be another kill given over to Khan.
And I love the decision from Khan to go on the easiest target. Don't overcommit. I know there's a lot of people low, but you make sure you go for the guy that's right then and there. Easy kill, and that's going to net them a Fire Dragon, and that's going to be huge because everybody on Longju makes great use of increased ability power and attack damage.
I have to say, this Longju team is looking a lot cleaner than from what we've seen. BDD, his positioning, he also looks super clean, too. Everything that he does, it seems very well calculated. Reminds me even of Faker. You know, a lot of people like to make comparisons.
Oh, easy there on that one.
I don't know. It looks very similar, his play style at least. Pawn, he gets extremely low, but he sets up the play. He actually kind of baits Gorilla into this one.
And the collapse here. Watch Khan. This is just beauty right there. Yes, he could have gone for misfortune. Maybe it could have net something, but he wasn't going to get chunked. Most likely would have died. You kill the guy and you go for the dragon, and that's why Longju didn't go for that turret. They wanted to just get that Fire Dragon, prioritizing the objective that really benefits him. And they're really running the composition that I would have expected KT to have this time around, with a pseudo tank at least in the top lane, as opposed to a full-on tank like the Gragas.
So this time with the combo here,
nice.
He's denied that twice in a row now. Smeb is going a bit low, but Score will get up into the top lane first. And here comes Mata too. So Khan, he might be taking one for the worse. He's trying to escape. Here comes Gorilla, and he will be saved. That was 3 members committed to the gank, and Khan gets out with his life. They're able to take mid-turret in the meanwhile, as well as bot lane.
Just so tanky, unable to die. Gragas took so long to just get Jarvan to half HP, and remember, this guy got a buff to his golden ages, that shield that makes him really obnoxious to deal with, and that allows him to slow everybody else, keep him intact, and keep him alive as long as possible for Zyra to get there and kind of force KT to retreat on the chase.
So you can see
Is that water that she shoots? There's like no damage.
She's just flinging pool noodles at the Jarvan. Nothing's hidden. And gets away. It looks like he had a bit of magic resist before that even went down. Or maybe he went back and bought that. But either way, didn't look like they had enough damage to clean that up. Khan's going in. Oh boy, Mata does not have his flash. That's a free kill. And maybe a wasted TP. Yeah, it is. That TP will not amount to anything.
And I have to say, I'm loving the Khan play here on this Jarvan, just using his abilities off cooldown every time, just being really aggressive and extending his lead whenever possible. This is exactly what you want to see when you have the advantage, and really promising to see this as a game 1 where you're faced against a team that made the finals, that is destined to perhaps have greatness in them, and he doesn't care. The stats, the names, the legacies, not a big deal.
Super confident on the play. He gets ahead 3-0, goes to 3-1 with some overconfidence, but then he takes a small step back, and ever since that, he's been really clean. This Longju team looking quite good so far, even with all the new players in the lineup. Very coordinated.
That coordinated vision is all around the Baron side now. It's post 20 minutes, they can go for it, but now they have to make the decision. Do you go for Mountain Dragon, or do you go for the Baron? The Baron can be a possibility, but does rely on KT to make more mistakes, whereas the Mountain here would mean that in a little bit more time, the Baron becomes a lot more attractive. And Longju will see what they try to do on this one, but both options are definitely viable. It's just a matter of the flavor that they want to take.
Yeah. And Prey actually denied the recall of death twice in a row. Very obnoxious. Looking for a pick onto a pawn that has Cleanse and the Banshee's Veil. Wasn't really in a dangerous spot either. So it looks like they're leaning more towards the side of Baron so far, but they haven't made any big moves just yet. Lots of recalls out of both teams at this point in time. And
it's important to note where KT's recalling, because in a situation like this, when you're losing control of the Baron side, you really cannot afford a recall in a place that is in vision. So they put control wards and ensure that they recall in the brushes that those are there to make sure that Longju is guessing. Are they still here? Are they waiting to pick us off? Or are they just recalled? They just don't know, and that means that they cannot make as aggressive as a play as they would want to upon the Baron, to which their vision is almost completely denying KT's.
Deft is going to be careful just hanging around mid. There's just so much pick on their side. He does have a QSS. Now coming on in, the Banshee's Veil is not going to save his life. He was not able to jump onto the wall. That will be one pick for Longju.
What are they going to do with this pick? The control ward will deny vision around Baron. Keep your eyes on Score, though. He does have Flash and Smite.
Does get rooted for now. That Baron is getting extremely low. Oh, the knock up here from Khan will definitely secure that. The cast will not go through. Score will survive, but Khan, again, he's so tanky, will knock up Smeb. Do they have enough? The Cocoon is going to barely miss. No knockup from the Jarvan. But Longju, they pick up the Baron.
Great moves by them. They took advantage of the vision. KT just had no answer to get in there and deny anything for themselves. And you wonder, why can't KT get vision? Well, their composition relies on getting ahead early. If you got a 4-man of 4 squishies, you really can't face check anything. And without the Gragas being there, it's so difficult to be there. One cocoon, even 10 minutes ago, we saw just how much damage Elise can deal to a single target. And oh man, the Jarvan build, look at that. He's got the adapt. Why do I keep forgetting that name? Somebody kept tweeting it at me and I kept forgetting.
The Gargoyle Stone Plate?
Yes, the Stone Plate, you're right.
Yeah.
Just really tanky there. And
it's very interesting because he doesn't have a ton of other health items. He's got a decent amount of health, but either way, it will make him very, very tanky for the time of the act.
It has incredible synergy with the Golden Aegis. You know, the shield that scales off of the resistances, and then when you get that extra HP, you get the resistances from 3 people nearby, and it just gets so obnoxiously difficult to deal with that.
True.
You have to really double think your damage input as a carry. Is it worthwhile hitting these tanks, or do you try to bypass them and go for the back line? So many choices. Oh.
Smeb, you know, even against a 5-2 and 3 Jarvan is really holding his own. You gotta hand it to him. He's making the best with the position that he's in, but it's not seemingly helping him out enough as Jarvan is still pushing that bottom lane. And Longju able to take another turret in mid lane. They're really trying to do these rotations, get as many turrets as possible.
Next up is that tier 2 bottom lane. And there's no ward for them to go for a flank or any crazy play of the sorts. It would most likely have to be a flash body slam from Gragas, but they're just going to give this up. Varus is nowhere to be seen, and Longju looking really good here, to be honest. I'm quite impressed with their play. They seem very disciplined in the way that they're approaching this Baron.
Yeah, maybe after a very disappointing spring split, they just got whipped into shape, perhaps, because these guys look incredible. I think the lineup is looking good. Will the arrow hit? Oh, it will, but the immediate QSS. Well, at least they get the QSS.
That was a cool QSS from Def. Very quick reflexes. And one of the best AD carries in the world, easily able to dispel the arrow immediately.
Def still does have both of his summoners too, so Khan was thinking about going on in and trying to catch him, but he could have flashed out.
So now Longju have to make the decision of, do you try to siege a base turret without any objective up, or do you go for the tier 2? I'd say they're going to go for the tier 2 here, control 2 lanes at once. Bottom lane, no longer of much importance now that it's only a tier 1 turret. And
Was he trying to get over that wall?
I think he's trying to just go for a split pushing thing, trying to get that turret. But as soon as they saw Jarvan and the move that Longju is making, he immediately has to retreat. He knows that he should not be there. You're a jungler. You got to be with the team, man.
I was just laughing because he failed to jump over the wall with the blasting plan, but your point makes a lot more sense, Crims.
Hey, we've all been there.
I love the way that BDD always puts his ball in a really threatening position. If you lose track of that ball for 1 second, that could be a really big shockwave.
And take a look at how he hides it under the turret. Making great use of the map there. You can't see it, and so if you step up and you don't expect it, you're going to get hit by a shockwave that just came out of nowhere. And a shockwave is a game-winning ability, and they understand that so well, and the way that you play around Orianna, that the vision tells the story just as well. All the vision preventing KT from entering through the back. If they want to engage, it has to be from the front, and there's such an easy way to dispel something like that when your only real threat is the Gragas.
We got this Infernal Drake coming up in a bit. We don't actually have the timer on that, so it's probably over 2 minutes away. And right now, they do have an assortment of dragons, Mountain, Infernal, and Cloud. Nice difference in the gold was gained for Longju as they continue to push their lead.
You know what I wish happened with the dragons? That every time you took a dragon, depending on what you took, your character started glowing accordingly to the color. So if you got fire dragons, you start glowing a little bit red. You got mountain, you're a little bit brown.
What about if you get like 3 different colors though?
Oh, you glow 3 colors.
So what is the mix of white, red, and brown?
Beige?
Yeah, I guess. kind of like a brick color, maybe.
Yeah, you start glowing brick colored.
Good idea. I like it. I see where you're coming from.
The VFX would be so complicated that it probably would never happen.
Maybe just the last one that you got, but
well, that'd be hard to predict.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, the Fire Dragon will be in 1 minute 28. If Longzhu can secure this one, they basically have like the best dragons here. No use for Ocean this time around. Just double Inferno with a mountain and the cloud. Just really solid stuff from them so far. And their ability to secure these incredible roulettes of dragon is going to help them out so much. And they're already 10k up, so just having dragons in the bank means that it's going to be so much harder for KT to try to make a comeback.
Yeah, well, we haven't, the biggest roulette, the biggest kind of crazy RNG I've seen. Well, actually, hold that thought. Khan, he might get caught here all alone once again. Everybody on KT is here. Khan wants to make something of it, trying to kill Pawn. In the meantime, he's getting close. Oh, he misses that flash, though. That's really unfortunate. Big pick for KT. They take that Jarvan out of the picture.
Feels bad, man, especially when there's nobody else on Longzhu in that position to take anything else on the map. It's okay to be extended like that every once in a while, as long as your team is capable of punishing that 5-man collapse. But because there's nobody else, it's perfectly fine for KT to do that. There's no turrets that Longzhu can take. Baron's not up yet. Dragon is not up yet. The setups are already established, and so it's just a freebie going the way of KT. And that kind of play is this thing that KT has to keep looking for. The crazy outnumber. When you're this far behind, it doesn't matter how much resources you spend. You just need to stall the game out and get gold back.
Now we're in a position where 20 seconds until Jarvan comes up, and a big engage from Smeb, who actually takes a crazy amount of damage. That's a kill onto Smeb, and no one on Longzhu. Longzhu with a huge turnaround. Now they actually want more. In comes BDD. He's charging at them with that Ghost. Doesn't look like he can get any picks, as Deft is forced to flash away. Mata in a terrible spot, all alone.
Whoa,
he's really
look
fast.
at that teleport. Whoa, what? Well, they decided to just turn on to the Baron.
Yeah, Mata, he can go run all by himself against those minions, but that's essentially a free Baron going over to Longzhu now.
Score is just too low to try to answer this, and they're going to try to make sure that KT... Oh, nice.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it. I love it. At least KT is able to pick up the Infernal Drake.
Oh, in the meantime, they're trying to cut off KT's retreat path here. They don't want them to get away with anything in this game.
Score's going to be forced to engage in here. Can Khan actually 2v1? Doesn't quite look like he's going to have that tower, and the collateral damage does miss. Now we're taking a look at this. Looks like Deft is in a ton of trouble and will be going down. Prey eventually is going to take down 2 members in the bottom lane with a double kill in the meantime. So Longzhu turning up big in the end of that fight.
And Jarvan gets to live after that fight, just so damn tanky. Longzhu taking over this game. They've got a GI Kung Fu grip on this one, and KT just does not know any way to get out of this one because they seem all over the place. KT really needs Smeb to be grouped with the team to try to make anything happen, but in the meantime, that's going to be an inhibitor, 2 inhibitors, maybe even 3 before 40 minutes, all at the same time. Look at top lane, BDD's got his own.
Yeah, that's at least all the inhibitors. Will they get greedy and go for the base?
Oh, you don't have to at this point.
Doesn't look like it.
Death timers.
Yeah.
You base and you go for the game-winning push in the next minute.
You can tell how desperate KT is right now when they use 2 ultimates to try to kill Gorilla, and they don't even get close. So Khan lives, by the way, and this is the easiest cleanup in the world for Prey.
They got to start thinking about game 2 already, because to try to come back from a triple inhibitor situation is one of the most difficult things in League of Legends, especially when the Baron is only halfway through. That's 3 waves of super inhibitor or super minions coming into your base, and the wave clear there against those empowered minions is nearly impossible to deal with.
Score on the run. Looks like that Cowboy will get out this time.
Spreading themselves across 2 waves. They know top lane will answer eventually, and I like Smeb's position here. He understands that the TP is most likely not going to work, even though it will be up by the time that Longzhu go for the push, just hiding behind, and they're going to have to go for a real crazy play onto this one, and most likely will have to engage onto Orianna to try to make this battle work. Oh, but he gets scouted out. Great scouting there from Gorilla.
Yeah, Gorilla keeping tabs. There is the Weaver's Wall. Prey is kind of zoned out, but Longju sticking together. Get that cocoon onto Smeb, and they're immediately going to town on those Nexus turrets. The Baron buffed super minions is just way too much. Good cast got to Gorilla, but it's just too much at this point. 2 members are going to go down. Now it's the cleanup crew. Prey going to pick up another kill. Down goes Score. Mata is the only one to survive with his life, and a very dominating game number 1 goes over to Longju.
And dang, this team is exciting for this new split. 2 rookies coming in. BDD, a guy, you can practically consider him a rookie, not having much success. And now this game, they can take down KT game 1 and very dominating fashion. It was really fun to see these guys play, especially Khan. It would be incredibly surprising to not see him get MVP. Just such a stellar performance, and I love the proactivity out of this guy. Just making sure that he's always looking for plays, rotating towards mid lane, looking for dives, forcing flashes in the team fights, drawing so much pressure in this top side of the map, and all from one small gank at level 3 that didn't even net a kill. If you give this guy more leads, what else can he do?
Well, he did get that Jarvan versus Gragas matchup. I'd say it's pretty nice.